Emma sat nervously in the corner of the quaint cafe, her fingers wrapped tightly around a warm cup of mint tea as raindrops tapped gently against the window beside her. She didn't want to be there. Blind dates had always been a cruel reminder of what the world saw when they looked at her. "No one marries a fat girl, Emma," she had heard since school days, whispered behind her back, repeated by relatives, buried deep in her heart like a thorn she could never pull out. But her friend Lily had insisted, promising the man was kind, intelligent, and different from the rest. Emma tugged at the sleeves of her soft green dress, adjusting it over her waist as she prepared herself for disappointment once again. Just when she decided to leave, the cafe door opened and a tall, sharply dressed man stepped in. His eyes searched the room and landed on her, not with pity or judgment, but curiosity. He walked toward her with a gentle smile. "Emma?" he asked, his voice calm. She nodded, surprised. "I'm Adrian," he said, taking the seat across from her. For a moment, silence lingered between them, thick with insecurity and unspoken fears. Emma finally let out a shaky breath and whispered, "You don't have to pretend to be polite. I know what people think. No one marries a fat girl, sir." Adrian's brows furrowed, not in disgust, but in disbelief. He leaned in slightly and replied, "And who decided that?" His tone was neither mocking nor dismissive, it was sincere, almost protective. Emma blinked, unsure how to respond. She waited for the punchline, the familiar ridicule, the pitying smile. But it never came. Instead, Adrian's eyes softened. "If that's what the world believes," he said quietly, "then let's prove them all wrong." Emma stared at him, shocked, her heart pounding harder than it had in years. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. Genuinely seen. And though she didn't say a word, something fragile and hopeful flickered to life inside her chest, like the first spark of dawn after a long, cold night. Days turned into weeks, and to Emma's surprise, Adrian kept showing up, at the cafe with her favorite pastries, outside her bookstore with an umbrella on rainy afternoons, and sometimes just to walk with her in the quietness of the park. He never made her feel like a project or a charity case. Instead, he listened, laughed at her jokes, and shared stories about his childhood, his love for art, and the pressure of being the CEO of a massive company. Emma found herself slowly letting down the walls she had built over the years, but her heart still trembled with fear. One afternoon, they sat in their usual corner of the cafe, sipping cappuccinos and watching the world outside blur with raindrops. Adrian was talking about a painting he loved when a group of his business acquaintances walked in, dressed in designer suits and polished shoes. Their eyes briefly scanned Emma from head to toe, and one of them, a man with a smug smile, muttered loud enough to be heard, "So that's her? Not exactly CEO wife material." Emma's chest tightened, and humiliation washed over her like ice. She stood abruptly, her chair scraping the floor, but before she could leave, Adrian gently took her hand and stood beside her. His voice was calm but firm as he faced his colleagues. "She is more than enough," he said. "In fact, she fits my life better than any of you ever could." The cafe fell into a stunned silence. Emma looked up at him, her eyes wide with disbelief, tears threatening to spill. Outside, away from the stares and whispers, Emma asked in a trembling voice, "Why are you doing this? People will talk, they already are." Adrian looked at her with unwavering sincerity. "Let them," he said softly. "You see flaws when you look at yourself, Emma. I see someone brave, kind, and real, someone I don't want to lose." She didn't know how to respond, all she could do was stare, her heart warring between trust and fear. That evening, as she lay in bed, his words echoed in her mind. For the first time in years, the voices of doubt were quieter than the sound of hope. Despite Adrian's unwavering kindness, Emma's heart remained a battlefield of doubt and fear. She had grown up hearing taunts about her weight, enduring cruel laughter, rejection, and even betrayal by people she once trusted. Loving someone like Adrian, someone who seemed too good, too perfect, felt like walking on thin ice. What if he changed his mind? What if this was temporary? One evening, Adrian took her to an art gallery after closing hours, a place he said brought him peace. The soft glow of lights reflected off the polished floors as they walked past portraits and sculptures. Emma stopped in front of a painting of a broken vase pieced back together with gold. She stared at it for a long time. "It's called kintsugi," Adrian said gently. "In Japan, they repair broken things with gold to show that the damage is part of its history, not something to be hidden." Emma's throat tightened. "But what if someone keeps breaking?" she whispered. Adrian's eyes softened. "Then they deserve more gold, not less." His words lingered in the air like a promise, but Emma still felt the weight of the world pressing on her chest. A few days later, social media exploded with pictures of them together. CEO Adrian Knight seen with plus-sized mystery woman. Cruel comments followed. "Why her? PR stunt, he can do better." Emma's hands shook as she scrolled through them. Memories of past insults came rushing back. She locked herself in her room and ignored Adrian's calls. The next morning, he showed up outside her door, holding coffee and her favorite book. "Please," he said softly, "don't shut me out." Tears streamed down her face as she confessed, "I'm scared you'll get tired of defending me. I'm scared you'll leave like everyone else." Adrian stepped closer, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Emma, I'm not here to rescue you. I'm here to stand beside you, only if you let me." In that silent moment, she realized love wasn't about perfection or approval. It was about choosing someone, again and again, even when the world didn't understand. And with trembling courage, she chose to stay. Weeks passed, and though whispers and online comments continued, Emma stood stronger than before, no longer hiding from the world. Adrian never left her side. He held her hand at public events, introduced her to business partners without hesitation, and proudly called her, "the woman I love." One evening, he invited her to a charity gala at a grand hotel. Emma wore a flowing ivory gown, her hair curled softly over her shoulders, her eyes shimmering with both nervousness and grace. As they entered, conversations paused, phones were discreetly raised, and judgmental eyes followed her every step. But Emma no longer shrank under their gaze. She lifted her chin, her fingers intertwined with Adrian's. Midway through the event, the lights dimmed, and soft music faded. Adrian walked onto the stage, microphone in hand, scanning the room of wealthy elites and reporters. "Tonight is not about business," he said, voice calm but filled with conviction. "It's about courage, especially the courage of one woman who taught me that love isn't about perfection, but truth." Then he descended the stage, each step echoing in the silent hall, until he stopped in front of Emma. Her breath hitched as he knelt on one knee. Gasps spread through the crowd like ripples. "Emma," he said softly, eyes never leaving hers, "you once said no one marries a fat girl. Let's prove them all wrong. Marry me." Tears pooled in her eyes, this time, not from pain, but overwhelming love. For a heartbeat, the world went silent. Then, with a trembling smile, she whispered, "Yes." Applause erupted, cameras flashed, but all Emma felt was the warmth of Adrian's arms as he rose and embraced her. In that moment, she didn't feel like the girl who was judged, mocked, or doubted. She felt like a woman who chose love despite her fears, who learned her worth wasn't defined by the mirror or by strangers, but by the heart that beat beside hers. As the world watched, Emma whispered, "Thank you." Adrian smiled, holding her close. "No," he said gently, "thank you for proving them wrong with me." And under the golden lights, they danced, two souls, imperfect and fearless, rewriting what love was meant to be.